time is something called, it used to be called Surly Brewing is a local brewery here.
Yep.
And it used to be called Todd the Axeman. Todd, who was the partners with the he changed it to Axeman.
What style of beer?
It's an IPA and it's about 8%, but it's called it's amazing.
Nice.
What
I have for you,
Jan, I'm just
trying to look at it up, but I'm trying to get set everything. So
okay.
No, go grab whatever you got yet, brother.
All right.
Don't make me regret this.
She said, "Don't make me regret this."
That's all right. You can just blame her. It'll be all.
I'm just have one. I'm only gonna have one.
She has my email address. I'll get lit up if anything bad happens.
Skull.
But I'm trying to go.
Doing there, replaying yourself.
Yeah, no, I gotta mute this. That's all. We're good.
Do you see the skulls?
Skulls. Oh, on the beer. Very nice.
On the beer can.
Can you see, Joe?
Oh, very cool.
Very cool. What's that called again?
It's called
Axeman Cometh.
Axeman. Let's see. Get it here. Let's go. There we go. There you go. Axeman IPA.
Cool.
All right.
We're up on Facebook.
Are we on?
We are on.
Okay.
So far, so good.
Cheers.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers, brother.
Okay, right. We're into it now.
All right, let's start the live recording. So, 5. Well, again, Brother Scott Wolter, I'll introduce you. So, ready, bro?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Right. 5, 4, 3, 2. Hello and welcome to the Freemasons Podcast with your hosts, Right Worshipful Brother George Mudry.
Worshipful Brother Joe.
And with us tonight, returning, Brother Scott Wolter. I'm worshipful brother. You almost got a promotion there.
I have not gone through the line. I've been too busy. I haven't been able to do it.
And just so you know, you have the distinct honor of being only the second person that agreed to come back after the first time on the show. So welcome back. Only one other person is.
We had Art Del Quetta.
I know that
right.
Art was the first. Brother Scott's the second to agree to come back. So.
We're all set with these.
That's an exclusive club.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be like the Saturday Night Live host club. You know, the hosts come back so many times they get a little jacket.
Are you guys going to have like a 5-time jacket?
Yeah, we'll do that for you. Absolutely. Are you agreeing to come back 5 times if we do?
Well, only if you get the jacket.
Yeah, what's your size? What are you, like a 48? What do we got? 44, 46?
What size jacket do I wear, Jan? XL, 46, 47?
Yeah, all right.
And you know we'll do like the Yankees where they get the patches down the arm.
There
Every time he comes out, you get a new patch, like World Series patches.
I have hook X patches. Oh, wait, they're downstairs. But anyway, I sell those on, they're beautiful. It's a Hooked X patch. I don't know if you've seen it on my Twitter. I posted them there before, but get those put on the jackets.
Oh, I'm interested.
I haven't seen the patch, but I did purchase the pin, which is quite a nice lapel pin.
Really?
Yeah, it's really nice.
And, hey, Jan, do you want to go downstairs and grab a patch and a medallion? They're over by the bookcase on the left side. You'll see them.
Oh, I'm definitely interested in those. I'm going.
Well, wait till I show you the coin. Oh,
really?
I had a brother, Harry Fetterman, who is a bling dealer who shows up at grand sessions and annual communications, that type of thing.
Yep.
And he talked me into doing some bling. So the first thing we did was the pin.
Yep.
Right.
And actually, I'm going to redo the pin. It didn't turn out quite the way I wanted. But the patch I love, that's coming here. But the coin is to commemorate the new book, and it turned out fantastic.
Awesome.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah.
Where
So-
can you get the patch on your page?
You know what? I just if you're interested, I'll send you guys some extra stuff. But all you got to do is just send me an email with email me. I charge $20 for the coin and the pin, but I'll throw in the patch too.
Nice. Yeah.
Oh, wait, I gotta show them to you. She's getting them right now. She's coming up.
Love morale patches.
Well, Masons love bling, so this is.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I have a confession to make, and I don't know if I told you this the last time, but I am a Mark Master Mason, as you are. Oh, that's
you
cool.
are.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent.
I'm all through York Rite Commandery. I'm part of the Grand Commandery and everything, but
Excellent.
one of actually my mark on my, I believe you're a York Rite Mason as well, correct?
I am.
And you got your little coin from the Mark Master Mason.
I did, and my mark is the title to one of the chapters in my new book, Hooked
Very
X
cool.
Tau Cross.
Ah, very cool. So my son is George Mudry the 6th, right?
Okay.
So I have the Roman numeral 6th with the hooked X at the end of it, and that's my
Oh,
mark.
I love it.
Very
I love
That's
it.
my mark.
A
And
lot of guys are using the hooked X, and I think it's great because it truly is the sacred symbol of our fugitive order of Templars and the Navigators too. But here's the coin.
oh wow, that's cool. That's really cool.
I've got a little delay on my screen, so hasn't quite popped up yet, but it will.
Wow, that's cool.
Now there's a number underneath it's on the back side. Now that's that side. And then on the other
Oh,
side,
that is cool.
The hooked X.
Yeah, it's the symbol that's on the cover of the book,
Mhm.
correct? Yeah.
right? Yeah, the symbol that you just looked at.
Yep.
Now this one, if you look below the hooked X, there is a number. Every one is numbered.
Individually. Oh wow, that's cool.
So I don't know if you
cool.
can see it better. Yeah.
Yep.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So that's the coin. And then, this is the patch.
Oh, I like the patch. I'm definitely down for the patch. I'll slap it
Yeah,
right.
I'm in.
I'll slap it right in my EDC bag. Love it.
There you go.
I put it on the Templar uniform, but they'd probably be pissed about it.
I don't know. Maybe they would. Maybe they wouldn't.
Maybe they wouldn't, yeah.
Actually, it would be perfectly appropriate. In fact,
It would be, yeah.
we've been having, now that we're talking about Masonic stuff, we've actually had, we had a Kensington Runestone Summit in January where I presented some of the new stuff that I'm working on now that I have not published yet, but I dropped it on a group of brothers. There was about 30 guys there, and guys from commanderies in North Dakota were represented, I think in Iowa as well. And they're embracing it. They're starting to realize that, first of all, the runestone is real. Screw what the academics say.
Yeah, no, it's real.
And this is a really important thing I just want to tell you guys, because as Masons, that symbolism has many levels, right?
Yeah,
Right? Mhm.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
And unless you're initiated and you've been taught how to read and understand these different levels, the different symbols, the uninitiated, it just goes right over their head, right? Well, that's how I was for, probably about 15 years. And then finally, when I was initiated into Freemasonry, into the York Rite, into the Scottish Rite, and I dabbled in some other things, now I have the eyes to see. And it was in one of, George, have you gone through, or either one of you gone through the Cryptic Council?
Yes. Mhm.
I have
Yep,
not.
yep.
I've only done Scottish Rite.
So
Okay.
I'm chapter,
Well, at some
council,
point,
and commander.
you want to do that, but
Yep.
and I don't want to give too much away. But when you go through the Cryptic Council, specifically the Select Master degree, and they talk about the 9 arches, and this gets into the legend of Enoch and how the the 3 Grand Masters built the secret vault 9 levels below the Sanctum Sanctorum in the Temple of Solomon. And then in the lecture part, at least in the southern jurisdiction, which I'm a part of, they then said, and the other 8 arches were built by 22 men from Gebel in Lebanon. And I went, 8 and 22, those are the first 2 numbers on the Kensington runestone. 8 gods and 22 Northmen.
That's right.
Okay, all right.
Oh, wow. That's really cool. Yeah.
Well, obviously, I didn't hear another thing after that. One of the white ants is giving. What? So I'm listening to this and I'm like, no freaking way. And then I went to my Masonic mentor and still my good friend. His name is Brother John Freeberg. And I said, John, is there a ritual book for this? And he said, yes. I said, give me that.
Yeah. Mm.
And I'm telling you guys, all of the first 8 numbers that appear in the Kensington runestone inscription appear in the ritual in sequence.
That's awesome.
Really? That's not a coincidence.
Now I
That's
got to go back.
not a coincidence.
I don't think so.
No, it
Now,
certainly can't
sacred
be.
number 8, which corresponds to the Templars, and the Templar cross has 8 points.
Mhm.
The Newport Tower has 8 columns, symbolic of the number of years it takes for the planet Venus, when viewed astronomically, to create a 5-pointed star. Embedded within it is something called the Fibonacci sequence, the golden ratio, which is the key to life in the universe, and really is the key to our craft that so few brothers truly understand. And one of the reasons I'm going through this is because timing is everything. Right now, okay, something is happening that only happens once every 8 years with the planet Venus. Right now. Tonight.
Really?
Oh, really?
Look at the planet Venus, which is in basically due west. And that's not the normal position that she's typically in. Normally she's in the southwest when she's an evening star. But right now, she is closest to Earth as she will ever be during its 8-year cycle. And she is absolutely at her brightest right now. And if you don't think Venus is important in Freemasonry, think again, because she is at the core of it all.
Well, it's funny that you bring that up, because I actually thought of you about a week and a half ago, where I was on a Zoom meeting for a lodge in Albany, New York, Master's Lodge number 5, and they had asked me to come on, and I was doing a presentation on Freemasonry symbols within the tarot card. And one of the questions that I had gotten was, well, isn't the tarot card mostly, there's a lot of feminine symbols in there, and Freemasonry is really, most of its symbols are masculine. And I was like, whoa, hold on a second. No, they're actually not. And I started to talk about the sacred feminine and Venus specifically, and the different ways that she's represented within Freemasonry. And like you just said, a lot of people just aren't in tune with that side of it, because they think of Freemasonry, it's a male fraternity, it's masculine, but there are a lot of feminine symbols within Freemasonry. It's just, you've got to look at that extra layer.
So I got the chills, Brother Scott.
It's even more than that, because in these old documents that I'm going through right now, which I can't talk about too much because I'm in the process of, I've been vetting this new set of documents for about 4 years with some Masonic scholars, Brother Robert Cooper over in Scotland, Brother Terry Tilton, who's a past Grand Master of Minnesota, past president of the Philadelphia Society, which you guys I'm sure are aware of, is the academic branch of Freemasonry. One of the things that has become obvious and evident is that the goddess is actually at the heart of Freemasonry. Unfortunately, over the period of the last 250 years, she has been veiled, and veiled primarily because of the infiltration, and I'm just going to say it, of the Roman Christian ideology, which is patriarchal and has demonized the sacred feminine for almost 2 millennia.
Right.
And
right.
it's time it was called out. In fact, if you go to lodges in the southern part of the United States, you see the influence of Roman Christianity pretty profoundly, and it is really not part of our craft, to be quite blunt. There's tolerance for it, but make no mistake that the real reason the Templars were tortured and burned was not about money. It was about ideology. And basically, they had tricked the Roman Catholic Church for about 200 years by venerating the Virgin Mary, for example, when she really represented the ancient goddess to them. So it was easy for them to venerate her and pretend under the nose of the church who she really was. But if you think about it, the ideology the Templars embraced is ancient and actually predates Roman Christianity. And so they were the ones that borrowed the symbols, created a different version of a different story for these symbols. But that's why they were pissed and burned them, because they had been duped.
So I have a confession to make.
Okay, go for it.
You kind of gave me a little bit of chills a little while ago talking about Venus, and here's why. So our lodge here in Seymour, Connecticut is Morning Star Lodge, and we all know that.
Gee, really?
Well, and then tell them.
So I've been pushing really hard to get a chapter up here in Seymour, because in where we are, it's kind of center of the state. There's really no Royal Arch Mason chapters up here. And I just got approval today for Evening Star chapter number 47.
Nice.
Very cool.
Well, you know, seriously, guys, what you should do, I mean, May 4th is when she's going to be at her absolute closest. And obviously, several days right now, in fact, leading up to it and several days afterwards. But right now, we are at a very pivotal moment in the cycle of Venus for the next couple of weeks. So now is the time to embrace her. You know, they have the light in the east, right? Master sits in the east.
Yep.
And that's where the light is, right?
We actually talked about that last time, but when you were on the podcast, you were talking about that, you know, the sun rises in the east, and we were talking about in terms of a Masonic lodge, they were venerating Venus.
Absolutely, because in mystical circles, a lot of people don't realize this, and it's not a debate, it's not a discussion, it's a fact that both the planet Venus and the sun are called the eternal travelers because they travel together throughout the heavens. When Venus is a morning star, she rises, he follows, right? And right now, the sun is going to be setting, but she's right behind him. And as soon as he sets, even before, if you know where to look, probably be at about 70 degrees, she's already there. And so they're the eternal travelers in the heavens. And if you want to take that a step further for our Roman Christian friends, if you want to understand what the resurrection was really all about, or let's just say on another level, maybe the whole resurrection story isn't necessarily talking about the Son of God, but maybe they're talking about the Sun God. And on the winter solstice of December 21st, which just so happens to be my birthday,
Hey!
the shortest, darkest day of the year, as Janet likes to say.
And yet she married you.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Anyway,
but
yeah, that was a brilliant line, Jan.
Here's a question that I have for you, because this is something that I just thought of when I was having that discussion on symbolism, the feminine symbolism within Freemasonry, and it was just a thought, and I'll throw it out there to see if in any of your research you found anything on it. So historically, and well, not even historically, it's a fact that the Star of David or the Seal of Solomon, the two inverted or the two connecting triangles, one being an ancient symbol for the feminine and one being the ancient symbol for the male. And I was talking about the Masonic apron, and it dawned on me that the bib on the apron is an inverted triangle representing the female, and it's covering your masculine part. Is there anything to that? I don't know.
I have nothing to add on that one, brother. I think you
if I may,
you just stole the show right there.
But I'm not sure. Like,
no, I don't.
Like,
and if I may,
you're in union.
No, and maybe this is inappropriate, but there's a funny thing is when you sit, and Brother Scott, you've been in a Masonic lodge, and if you've worn a leather apron, right?
Of course.
Okay. When you sit down and then you stand up, there's always that guy who leans over. Hey man, you got an apron boner. you knock the triangle down, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
No, that happens a lot. EAs when they first get raised, and they put on that thing, and they got that little horn sticking up.
Yeah, I'm just saying there's there may be some kind of veiled union there. That's all.
No, I don't think it's not veiled. It's pretty obvious. And you're talking about the interlocking triangles. There again, you have the union of male and female, and the whole concept of dualism, which is what that Masonic pavement also represents.
Yep.
But getting back to this whole resurrection thing, the sun reaches its southernmost point, and it's on the 21st, but it's actually there for 3 days, the 20th, the 21st, and the 22nd, and it's in darkness, right? But then it is resurrected,
right?
But and in the Christian story, you have Jesus in the tomb for 3 days, and then he is resurrected. And who is there? The first person to see him,
Mary Magdalene.
And who is there always with the Son? When he returns, she is right there with him all the time. So really, it's just an allegorical story of the movement of these two heavenly bodies, the eternal travelers in the heavens, male, female, heaven and earth, on the winter solstice. So she, in a sense, rescues him in some of the ancient stories, and he comes back. And we see this played out astronomically in the Newport Tower, which I'm studying right now. And it's really a beautiful story. And if people really want to get to the bottom of what's going on, understand the movements of the planet Venus, and you're going to be 90% of the way there to understanding the real roots of Freemasonry. And it's hard for people to imagine that, but it's really true.
So I got a question for you. Something you talked about on one of the America Unearthed, I think it was a while back, and it was this. And I don't know if you could see my hand.
The M sign.
The M sign.
What are you talking about?
That's hysterical. The M sign. It's you talked about that. It's in a very unfamiliar place on where you would,
it's a very unnatural position
for your hand
to have your hands in, but yet it shows up repeatedly in pieces of art, sculptures,
right.
Especially. I believe the episode I believe you were talking about is when they go to Portugal.
Yes,
and in paintings,
Tomar,
and which was a Templar stronghold.
By the way, I'm jealous of you.
Not a stronghold; it was a Templar city. It was built by Grand Master Gualdim Pais of the Portuguese Templars in 1161, and it's a Templar city. Period. Start to finish.
So. Tying that in, you believe that that's a symbol for Mary Magdalene, correct?
I do.
And
I don't think. I know.
So it's been speculated, and it was on something I had listened to, that It's actually the same hand gesture is on a picture, a sculpture, I believe. It's and I could be misquoting here, but it's actually on a sculpture talking about Arcadia.
I wouldn't be the least surprised. They've been using
you know where I'm going
that
with this, right?
particular hand gesture. There's a certain tradition that uses that shall remain nameless, but they've been using that particular hand gesture since about 1307.
And
I believe what you're talking about. There's a painting,
yes,
and a sculpture.
It's actually the
that
DM.
It's like three shepherds. Right,
Yes,
and they're leaning, and
mm-hmm.
the sculpture and the painting are actually reversed in some sense. I know exactly what you're talking about, and it mentions Arcadia.
And it brings up of Arcadia.
Yes, that's the one.
Yep. The one, and it brings up the DM cipher. Is that anything you've ever gotten deep into?
No, I have not. Are you talking about Shepherds of Arcadia at Shugborough Hall?
Yes, that's where I'm getting at.
That's where Alan Butler and I were there, and we, that's really I'm glad you brought that up, because that brings back one of the most memorable moments I ever had with Alan Butler. And what we do on the show a lot of times is they will not tell me what they're going to show me, or they will let it happen, and then what they do is they just say, okay, go, the cameras roll, and they just let us go. Well, Alan and I, when we first walked up to that, neither one of us had seen it before, and we walked up, and they were rolling camera on that for 25 straight minutes, and they just let us go. And it was amazing, because as soon as Andy yelled cut, everybody holding a camera went, oh! But it was golden. And Alan said some great things, and we were going back and forth, and it was just this sort of organic moment that we were, kind of tapping each other's brains, and it was so cool. It was like one of the best moments I've had at the show, and it was with somebody that I consider one of my dearest friends.
So let me ask you, we've talked about the show a little bit. What the hell is the channel thinking, not giving you another season? What's going on with that? Like, it's a great show. So if you can give us a hint as to why we're not getting more of that content, because it seems like a no-brainer.
If I may, real quick, before you continue, Scott, the History Channel ended it. And then A&E.
TLC?
A&E, TLC.
Or Travel Channel?
Travel Channel?
No, we started on H2.
Yeah,
and it was History 2, so that was essentially History Channel, and we did 3 seasons, and then they sold H2. And I remember my agent said to me, well, Big History's going to pick you up, because I don't know who doesn't renew their number one show, because we were number one on H2 at the time. And so while we were waiting to hear what we thought for sure they were going to do, they asked me to do a 6-episode series called Pirate Treasure: The Knights Templar.
Yes.
Yep.
Because
that was awesome, by the way.
And the guy that was, basically the host of that show was a treasure hunter by the name of Barry Clifford, and Barry was a cool guy. But they were having trouble getting content because they couldn't get permits to dive in Madagascar, where all these shipwrecks were, which is where the focus of the show was going to be. Right. So they asked me to come on and help them get some Templar content, which I did, and it actually worked out really good. And we did six episodes of that. But unfortunately, what happened was Barry got into trouble with UNESCO, and there was some political things that happened with the shipwrecks that he was diving on, and this giant silver bar that he found. Well, some claim it was lead, some said it was silver. A lot of people have asked me about it, and I said, I never saw the damn thing, because when I went over to Madagascar, I was there for 12 days, and they didn't have the permits to dive. I was supposed to dive on those wrecks with Barry. And so we went and shot a bunch of content around Madagascar for 12 days, and then we still didn't have the permits, so then I left for England, and 2 days after I left, they got the permits. Well, they weren't going to bring us back because that would have been too expensive after all the time we spent there. And then he finds this silver bar the first day that he dives, right? And then he gave it to the president of Madagascar, and then UNESCO got upset about that, and anyway, it didn't get continued. But so then when that was over, we got word that they were not renewing the show. And I remember talking to my agent, and I said, why not? And he said, well, the reason they came back with, they said, your show's too smart for history.
Oh, Christ.
No, I'm not kidding.
I believe it. I believe it because...
Well, I mean, we do have TikTok, right? We got TikTok.
Well, they have Pawn Stars on there, too. What's so history about Pawn? Yes, I said Pawn. Pawn Stars.
I heard you.
Okay, you gave me a look.
No.
That's not very history-esque. And you've got the... isn't that don't they have the...
Ice Road Truckers.
They've got that. Don't they have the people making swords and stuff, too? Like,
Forged in Fire.
Forged in Fire.
Yeah, like, come on.
I just want to say, though, like, I recently discovered, I believe, that, Brother Scott, your show showed up on the Travel Channel. So I'm like, oh, great, this is great. I start watching again, they cancel it. Every freaking show that I enjoy, they cancel. Drives me insane.
The truth is we never got canceled, and we're not now. But what happened was we aired on Travel Channel, and I have to say the networks have always treated me really well. I would not say anything if they didn't, but they've always been very good to me, and I appreciate the opportunities that I've had. But Travel Channel has now gone 100% paranormal.
Yeah, everything's Ghost Hunters and Ghost Nation,
which is fine. A lot of people like that content. It's not my cup of tea. I mean, but it really wasn't a good fit from the get-go.
Yeah,
and they haven't canceled us. They just haven't renewed us. So a lot of times they will formally cancel a show, and that has not happened. I mean, they could theoretically call tomorrow and say, we want another season. So, I'll never close the door. But to be honest with you, I thought this last season we did 10 more episodes. It was a bonus in my eyes, and I thought it was great. I had walked away from American. I thought it was already over. So to me, it was like I never expected, and I thought it was great. I thought the episodes were really good. There's only one that I wouldn't have done, or I wished we would have done something different. The rest I thought were some of our best episodes we've done.
No, I thoroughly enjoyed the show, and I can't. It's surprising to me that maybe somebody like a Discovery or one of those other channels wouldn't pick you up because, not for nothing, I'm sure he's a nice guy, but Josh Gates has nothing on you with Expedition Unknown and those shows. I find your content much more. Yours is much more enjoyable, and it's
well,
it's more intellectual.
Different strokes for different folks.
Exactly.
Josh is really good at what he does. And he sort of does that tongue-in-cheek, look into the camera, jokey style, which works beautiful for him. To be honest with you, I wish that they would have let me do more talking into camera. I'm not jokey like he is. That's just not my thing. But I have a sense of humor, and I think there's a place for humor. But a lot of the things that I'm interested in. I'm serious about, and I want to get to the bottom of them, and I want to try to figure it out. And there's a place to have fun, and there's a place to buckle up and get after it. And it's only 44 minutes of actual content. We don't have a lot of time for messing around. We got stuff to do,
Right. And I do have to give you a lot of credit because there's been quite a few episodes where you've discovered something, and I remember one specifically where. Somebody thought there was a Templar cross carved in a rock in the middle of the woods.
Yes.
And you do a really good job of saying very nicely, yeah, this is fake. Yeah, this is a hoax.
And I have to ask, were you pissed? I would have been pissed.
Let me just say that there's a whole nother there's some film out there somewhere of the rest of that story, which did not go very well. I got to their grill really hard, and basically what I said to them is, and they did careful editing because they didn't want to paint me out to be an asshole.
Right, but you're a professional, and they're wasting your time.
Well, they were, and not only that, I said, guys, you realize that we have 8 people here. And do you know how much money it costs to fly 8 people here to rent hotels, to rent, vehicles and pay these people to do their job. I said, it costs a lot of money. And you're here sending me on a wild goddamn goose chase?
Yeah, good for you.
Pissed off. I was extremely pissed off, and they heard it.
And not for nothing, the look on the guy's face it just had liar written all over. When you turned around and you asked him point blank, did you carve this? And he went, no. And he just had this look on his face.
Yeah. No. And I'll tell you what happened. This wasn't on the show either, but when I first got there, this was one of those same thing. We don't want you to look at it until we're rolling, right? So I waited patiently, and then they're like, go, and I'm like a rabid dog,
Right, because you're passionate about it.
Bowl of steak over there, and it's like, go,
Right.
So I get in there, and I looked at it, and I was talking out loud, and I think I remember they did record some of the questions that I was asking when I was inside this little kind of like rock shelter thing where this carving was. And I noticed right away some things I didn't like, but I didn't say anything because I knew we were rolling, and I wanted to wait because I knew we were going to shoot in the afternoon. If we're going to have the confrontation, that's when it would be, and that's when it was. But when we broke for lunch, we had to climb down to this area, so we had to climb back up to get to the vehicles to eat lunch. And while everybody was getting their food, I went into my my suitcase. I pulled out my toothbrush. I grabbed a bottle of water, and then I snuck away, and I went back there by myself so I could do this on my own. I didn't want anybody there, and I went down, and I took this water, and I sprayed a little bit on the carving, and then I took my toothbrush, and I scratched out, I rubbed out what turned out to be Elmer's glue and mud, and then I took another drink, and I went, and boom, it just turned white. And I knew, it was fresh. It had just been made, right? And I went, F.
Not for nothing, though. I'm really, I have to say, you did a very brotherly Masonic thing by subduing your passions. Because if I were you, after I scrubbed the carving with the toothbrush, I would have flipped it over and started whittling it down to a shift. Because that would have pissed me off.
I would love to see the outtakes on that. I would love to see that.
I was pissed off, but I knew I had to keep my my stuff together. So I crawled back up, and they were just finishing lunch, and they were putting cameras on, and I went to the field producer, and I said, come here. And so we went for a walk, and I said, this thing's fake. And he said, what do you mean? I said, I just went down and checked it. He goes, where were you? I said, I went down and I checked the carving, and it's fake. And he goes, well, what do you want to do? And so I said, well, let's call Andy back in Minneapolis, who owns the production company. And I told Andy, I said, what do you want to do? And he said, just tell him. I said, okay, here we go.
Well, now you have Raff's number, James Rafferty. You have his number now, so you can just call James up and just have him beat some ass.
He'll drop the hammer for you if you ever need to.
But however, I
don't need any help. I can handle it myself.
I just want to say, though,
guys, I'm an old linebacker, and I don't, I can't run as fast. I probably don't have the same, muscle tone as I used to, but I still have the want to. So,
and you have the technique. Sometimes technique is more than the strength.
I do want to say, though, and now that we've kind of joked around about this whole, you pointed out the fake and everything, I do have to commend you for another episode that I had seen a long time back, and that was the Rock Wall episode.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was awesome.
That was awesome. And thank you for finally somebody putting a hammer to Rockwall, Texas. And
so the rock wall that goes into the ground that they determine was a natural formation? Like, yes, okay, I remember that one as well.
Scott did that.
Yep. Right. Yep. Yeah.
I recall that one.
The people in Texas are interesting. They have their own vibe, and they're kind of like, they're kind of like Patriot fans, right?
Oh.
They're so used to winning, and everything is great, and they have this huge ego. And
wow,
they were both Patriot fans.
Wow.
I love my friends in Texas. I'm giving them a bad time. But
you're giving us Patriots fans
I meant
a
what
bad
I said
time.
about those Patriot fans.
You're talking to two of them right here.
Actually, did you see the new logo for Tampa Bay now? It's basically the Patriots, except it's in black, orange, and it's got the Buccaneers where the star,
with the eye patch on.
Yeah, with the eye patches.
I came out of retirement. You know what? One last curtain call with Tom Brady. I think I probably would have been tempted to.
Absolutely.
Right.
It'll make for a very interesting season if we have one.
Right.
If we have one. But, we talked about
Rock. What are we
Rock.
going to do with that? What's going to happen?
I wouldn't be shocked if they started the season playing the games with nobody in the seats. I would not be shocked.
Oh, Patriots?
The whole NFL. Where you're going to play the games, but there's nobody in the stands.
Oh,
well, they're talking about doing that with baseball.
Yeah, and not for nothing. Other than the crowd noise, football to me, I've been to games in the stadium and I've watched them on TV. It's more enjoyable at home on your couch.
Now, see, I was trying to get tickets to a Tampa Bay game so I could throw change at Tom Brady.
Well, last year you would have been able to. Now you can't. But,
you know what? I gotta jump in for a sec because I'm a season ticket holder with the
Vikings, right? Yep.
And we splurged when they moved into the new stadium. We actually have my wife's parents' season tickets they've had since 1968.
Oh wow!
And so we got really good seats for the new stadium. We just decided we'd go for it and leave those seats as a legacy for our kids. But I understand what you're saying about, the weeks where we might gifts or sell them, give them to our kids or something. It's nice to stay home and watch the game. But I have to say the experience that we have at these games is really something special. But 2 years ago, when the Minnesota Miracle happened.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Were you there?
Higgs caught that pass on the sideline we were on. I'll never forget. I'm like yelling at him because I see him running. I'm like, bounds, dude, get out of bounds. It wasn't until he got to the end zone I looked at Janet and she goes, I think he scored. Oh, my God. For 20 straight minutes, the euphoria in that stadium, and it was for 20 minutes.
I believe it.
I never felt anything like that before. I mean, I know winning a Super Bowl is probably the same type of a thing, but I'm from Minnesota, okay? It was the best 20 minutes I think I've ever had in my life. It was just incredible.
Yeah, no, there is certainly something to be said for being there. However, I mean, the one benefit that you have, because it's necessary, the new stadium, it's in a dome now, correct?
Well, it's actually shaped like a big Viking ship, but yeah, it's covered. It's got glass on one side, and it's actually fantastic.
I mean, there's something really good about that. Like I've gone to a few Patriots games where the high has been 17 degrees, and I'm on the side of the stadium where it's in the shade. And my very first Patriots game was AFC wild card. God, probably 5-6 years ago, where Baltimore was up 24-0 in the first 10 minutes of the game, and I had to sit there in the cold weather with my brother, who's a Giants fan, making fun of me the rest of the game because I paid so much money for the tickets I wasn't going home.
Right.
But I was also at some where they beat the Jets like 49-2 on Monday Night Football or something crazy. So it has its merits, but
and that's the thing. When your team plays well, it's so fun to be there. But when they play crappy, and the Vikings have laid some real eggs. They did this past season. I can't remember what game it was. Buffalo was the year before where they just smoked the hell out of us.
Yep.
But it can, and it's like I drove all the way for this. I paid this much money for this.
Right.
But that's you never know what you're going to get. It's like a box of chocolates.
Well, and that's the good thing. Like if you can go to a game where you don't have a rooting interest and there's no emotional attachment, you can just sit back and enjoy the game. That's a lot of fun. I went to a Steelers.
That's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Steelers Chiefs home opener last year. I went with my daughter because she was looking at Duquesne University at the time, so we caught a game, and that was a lot of fun. That was just a lot of fun
stuff.
But anyway, we digress.
Let me interject for a second.
Yeah, go right ahead.
So I've been doing some research, guys. Check out the book that I'm in the middle of right now.
I was just going to bring this up. It's a treasury of witchcraft.
Yes. Now, what the heck would I be doing with this, right? All right. Now, Wait, let me see.
Those would be runes or rune inscriptions, wouldn't they? Is that what you're
No.
showing me?
Actually, that top alphabet, Theban.
Theban. Okay. All right.
Theban. Theban was one of the secret scripts that the Templars used to encode important documents. They would use these symbols. And if you look carefully at these symbols, you'll see that they incorporate a little M symbol in many of them.
Uh-huh.
I don't know why they would do that, but they did. So you guys didn't catch that, did you?
What, the M symbol?
The M symbol
I
on
caught
his
that.
hand. Yeah, I caught it.
Oh, you did? Very
Yes,
good.
absolutely.
Okay, good. Anyway, that particular alphabet is the old Theban alphabet, and it has a couple of very minor modifications off of the newer version of the Theban alphabet. But I'm looking at documents that incorporate the Theban script, and there are symbols on there that have certain modifications. That this is the only version of that old script that I've seen, and it's in this book. It's the only one I've ever been able to find as a reference. So that's why I was reading that book when you guys called me.
That's very cool.
Interesting. So it's interesting that you have yet another, Templar code, we'll call it, that's demonized in a certain sense, where it's now associated with witchcraft. So
Well, of course.
perhaps
I mean,
another example of somebody taking it's happened throughout history, whether it be Mary Magdalene, whether it be certain holidays or whatnot, where they take something and if it doesn't fit their
Narrative.
it's demonized. It's bad. It's
and who are we talking about yet again that demonized it?
The Roman
It's the
Catholic
Roman
Church.
Catholic Church.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's who did it
That's
here.
their
That's
MO.
who did it
Right.
there and continues to do it. It's a matter of ideology, and I'm not trying to be here and picking on the church, but if you want to talk about the Templars and what happened and who one of their their primary nemesis were, that's who it was, and it's just a fact.
And there's a difference between
You're already
the
taking
Roman
thought.
Catholic religion and the institution of the Roman Catholic Church.
Correct.
They're two separate things.
That's exactly
And
what I was going to say.
it's the institution that's kind of bastardized everything, and it has politicized religion in essence.
Right.
Where we're not saying their beliefs are wrong, but what we're saying is anytime.
Well, some of them are.
Well, some of them are.
But faith
But
has been
the institution itself is corrupt.
faith is God. Religion is man-made.
Correct.
Meaning
I'll
that
agree with
men
that, yeah.
are the ones who decide the narrative of that religion. I mean, how many times have you gone to church? I'm a Methodist. You go into a Catholic church, take communion, you're like, no, you can't. I'm like,
Right.
But I'm Christian.
But right, I believe
What
in
the hell
Christ.
difference
No,
does it make?
your interpretation is not.
Right.
My dad could beat your dad. We win. That's what it comes down to with religion. A lot of times with organized religion, my God could beat up your God.
Right. And I find it fast.
Guys, hey, let's get to the core of it. Here's the difference, right? The difference is, and it doesn't matter what religion you're talking about. We happen to be talking about Christianity.
Right.
The same is true in the Muslim
Absolutely.
faith,
Absolutely.
in the Jewish faith, in Buddhism. Anytime you get a human conduit involved, or necessary or mandated, that you have to have a conduit to get to Creator, a human conduit,
Right.
that's where problems start.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yep.
Absolutely.
As Masons, you guys know, this dirty little secret is you don't need a conduit to get to Creator.
No, you can get there all on your own.
You can have a relationship all by yourself,
Right.
and really that's your business. It's not anybody else's business. But organized religion takes that away from you, and they're the ones that are going to tell you what to think, what to believe, and what to do, so that at the end of your life you will get to this, Valhalla, whatever you want to call it. And that's just wrong in my personal opinion.
No, and I could tell you that I was raised Roman Catholic, and I had a very confused, spiritual lifestyle because I had questions. I had certain things where no, you you can't have that personal relationships. Like you said, you need that conduit. And I'm like, no, I don't need, much like I don't need brick and mortar. I don't need a lodge to go to or a temple to go to practice Freemasonry and pursue my ritual and everything. I don't need a brick and mortar building or somebody's permission to have a personal relationship with God. And that's where when I joined Freemasonry, I'm like, I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one that feels that way. And it made sense. It kind of just clicked.
No, you hit the nail on the head. And the other thing too is that women can do the same thing. I mean, it's, you know, the one question that I had when I became a Mason that bothered me, and it doesn't bother me anymore. I understand the tradition of the fraternity being a male-oriented thing, but that was the one thing that I found a little bit problematic. But now that I'm older and I understand the history of the tradition, you know, I'm not offended by it at all, and I understand also that there are traditions that are that still exist to this day that welcome women. And I mean, I think you guys will agree that there's nothing that we do in lodge that women can't handle. I mean, some of the jokes we tell here, but there's nothing that is special to being a guy that the ladies couldn't handle, but it's a tradition.
They might have a problem with the paraphernalia during the degrees.
Okay.
They might have a problem wearing the paraphernalia.
The way that they're properly clad.
Well, let's put it this way. They would probably have a problem with it. I don't think we would.
Oh, you're going to get yourself in trouble. Put that...
I'm just saying.
Put that axe man cometh away. You're going to get in trouble.
I know. You know, look, it's a fraternity. It's a long-standing tradition, and it's certainly not meant to in any way disparage women or at all. And in fact, as we talked about at the very beginning, the core of Freemasonry really is about veneration of the goddess anyway. And women don't need to venerate themselves. They already know they got it going on, right?
Absolutely. But to that point, you know, the moral teachings of Freemasonry are, you know, they're out there in other organizations, and they're not exclusive to Freemasonry. We have a different take on it, and maybe, you know, our own brand on that. However, there are some tenets that are universal, whether they be in Freemasonry or not in Freemasonry.
Exactly.
And you know, even if you get into things like Hermetic philosophy, and you know, there's a lot of women involved in those types of things, and it's still there. You don't need, and that's always been my argument, is you can go learn similar things, maybe not through the same filter, but you can learn similar things, or in essence the same lessons and values, from a different source. You don't have to use this source.
That's right. That's exactly right. And I will say this, that one of the things that I really enjoy about attending, Scottish Rite in particular now, is everybody knows my wife, Janet. They respect her as a person, as a researcher, and she's welcome to the temple anytime, even on degree nights. She can't watch the degrees, but, you know, we have a meal, we have fellowship, and we have a library where she does a lot of research, and they welcome her. So it's not like, you know, women are just, you know, there's a certain boundary that, you know, we don't want you coming in to the ritual rooms and watching the degrees, but everything else she's welcome to. And she's taught those guys a lot. I mean, they seek out her opinion on certain things. The feminine perspective is really important. We know what we think as guys, but a lot of times there'll be a research point, and getting the feminine perspective is really important.
So when is she coming on the show?
Jan.
We'd love to have her on. I mean, I know she's written her own book. She does a lot of her own research.
You know, feed me lines like I need to be fed lines. I'm just on set right now, and Andy, yes, you are.
We would love to have her on.
Why don't you come here and defend yourself?
Wait, you're making it sound like we're attacking her. No, make sure you clarify. I mean, I know she's a Vikings fan and whatnot, but, you know, we still love her.
I know. Okay,
That's
well,
Joe Zanino at 203.
No, but that's one thing we don't get a lot of on this show is a female perspective on some of this stuff. So we'd love to have Janet on.
Absolutely. So I do have two things, Brother Scott, because I know you got to eat dinner. I know you got some pork chops to make. So
Yes,
I don't want to ruin your guys' dinner, but I have a sales pitch and then one last question for you. We'll do a quick lightning round. And my sales pitch is this. You should make a shirt that says Masons love their women with just a Venus in the corner. Right?
Ooh.
That's great, right?
And a hook
I like
And a
it.
hook
I like
X,
it.
right?
Hook
And the
X on
hook
the
X-
sleeve.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we'll have a hooked X on a patch on the side. I
sleeve,
like
yeah.
it.
Perfect.
Like in this shirt here, but the hook deck.
Right. And so I guess my last and final question would be in a quick lightning round, what connections, as best as you can, what connections do you have between the Knights Templar of Ancient and Freemasonry as it stands?
I'm going to let Janet answer that question
Wait, no.
because I think
Yes,
she can do a better
perfect.
job.
Yes,
Go ahead.
The Knights Templar connections in Masonry?
What are the connections between Knights Templar and Freemasonry?
Modern
Oh,
Freemason.
well,
Modern
it
Freemason.
goes back a long, long time. Long-standing traditions, back to the mystery schools. And I think that's what Templarism was all about, was the ancient mystery schools and the teachings of those schools, from alchemy to the sacred feminine to, what am I missing? What else?
Well, I think what their question is what are those specific ties? I mean, just the overall connection between the mystery schools and the teachings of Freemasonry are essentially the same thing.
Exactly.
And obviously the Templars were big into the mystery schools and this ancient knowledge, and really it boils down to mathematics, geometry, and astronomy, which are the essential teachings of Templarism and the basis of Freemasonry as well.
Absolutely.
So that's one of the ties. But when you talk about specific ties, I think one of the most important that has been veiled is this reverence of the goddess. And when you look at, but I will say this, at the time of our founding fathers, they did this. They absolutely. And Janet and Alan talk a lot about it in their book, America, Nation of the Goddess. And all you have to do is go to Washington, D.C., and I challenge anybody to walk through that city and just count the number of statues that are feminine and that are masculine. And I know what the result is going to be, but I think people will be surprised at how many of them are feminine. And if you look at our Capitol building,
I was just going to say, right on top.
Sitting on top.
Yep. It's a female. Absolutely.
Feminine, it's Persephone, freedom. And if you look closely, if you want to Google it, people that are watching right now, our dog snuck in the middle here too.
He doesn't like when we're sitting next to each other and he's not in the middle.
Aw.
Anyway, but if you look closely at the Statue of Liberty, or the statue on top of the Capitol, she's wearing a bandana, and on that bandana are 5-pointed stars.
Which is a
Venus.
symbol of Venus.
Interesting.
Venus.
Very interesting. And I'm sorry.
It
What?
makes the pentagram in the sky as viewed from Earth on its cycle.
So
its
Jan,
8-year cycle.
I have to ask, are you Eastern Star?
I am not.
Ah,
Interesting.
You might get a little bit of
She's anything else.
You might get some. You might get a little something out of that too if you're into research.
Well, yeah,
So-
I might. I just might.
And just again, what was the name of that book again? Was
Yes, absolutely.
Nation of the Goddess? Did I get that?
America.
America.
Nation of the Goddess.
Excellent. And that's available through Amazon,
Yes.
Barnes and Nobles, all those.
No. If you
Oh, okay.
look, if anybody
It's
wants
Inner
to,
Traditions. Was
no,
the-
forget that. If you want a signed copy of her book, just go to www.hookedx.com, HOOKEDX.com, all books that are bought off our website, we will sign them. And lately, I've been, slipping in little surprises.
Oh.
Oh.
All right,
All
yeah.
right.
So www.hookedx.com, HOOKEDX.com.
I want that patch.
You know,
That's what I'm after.
You're gonna get like tomorrow. You're probably gonna get a large order from Connecticut.
Well, all you have to do with the patches. The patches are $5, but I'll send you. I mean, if you guys order them, I'll send you some extras and
Yeah, we'll get some books, some coins,
gifts and stuff.
Absolutely.
But it's funny. The last couple of days, I've had a bunch of book orders. I don't know why. People have been buying my Kensington Runestone book, which is really the beginning of the founding of this country. That claim stone that they put in the ground that served as the basis for the claiming of this country. And a lot of people say to me, well, why didn't they dig it up and make the claim? And I said, well, the reason is because the medieval Templars passed on the obligation to our founding fathers, who were all Freemasons. I don't think people realize how many of them really were Masons, and not just Masons, but they were Knights Templar as well.
Right.
And they finished the job.
Right.
So they didn't need the Kensington Runestone, that New Jerusalem that they sought to found, that practiced freedom of religion and freedom from the tyranny of the monarchs of Europe. Those were the two main tenets upon which this nation was founded. And who suffered from the tyranny, from the persecution of those two entities? Last I checked, it was the Knights Templar.
Mm-hmm.
How obvious is it who was at the core of the founding of our nation? And if people can't figure it out, then I don't know what the heck is going on.
All right, Brother
Awesome.
Scott. We'll let you go.
We'll let you get to dinner and your pork chops.
All right.
But remember, so this is number
What
2.
you asked for, you got her. There she is. And
Thank
you know
you.
what? I think if you guys extended an invitation to her, I bet you she'd accept.
Absolutely.
We'll get Rafferty on that. We'll make it official.
I just before we call, how are you guys doing out there with all this COVID crap going on? I just want to. How are you doing out there?
We're doing pretty good. Minnesota was on top of it early, and
Not
our
Connecticut.
government's been really good with it.
That's great.
Well, in all seriousness, I mean, it's been a challenge, right? When you're basically stuck in the same place for literally months on end, it's not easy. But we've gotten a hell of a lot of projects done that we never would have otherwise gotten done.
Right.
And I have to echo what she has said, and I don't want to get political, but our governor has been very straightforward. He's been very empathetic. He has been very honest and truthful about what the situation is. And all I can say is, I just want the truth. I just want to know what it is. I'm a big boy. I can handle it. I can't stand the BS.
Yep.
And and the truth, I think, is in the data. We have only had about 200 people in our entire state that have died from the coronavirus. And 200 people is a lot of people, and it's too many. But in the grand scheme of things, in a state with over 4.5 million people, that's a really, really small percentage.
Right.
And it's because people have done what they were told.
Right. Well, Brother Scott, Janet, please stay safe.
Stay safe. Stay healthy.
Thank you for coming on. And Janet, we will most certainly be reaching out to you and having you on if you'd be willing. That would be a lot of fun.
And if I recall correctly, Brother Scott agreed to come on 3 more times as long as there's a jacket.
Yeah, we gotta get a jacket. We gotta get
that sounds like a contract
with the leather sleeves. I mean, it's
with the
patches,
with the patches on the sleeves. Yeah. But with the Hooked X patch on it, absolutely. No, but thank you again for taking the time coming on the show. We love having you on. We look forward to having you on again. And it's great. It's very gracious of you, and we really appreciate it.
No, my pleasure. And cheers, guys.
I was going to say, Joe, you want to lead the charge?
Yes.
Here we go. Wait, give us a charge there, worshipful.
Brothers, right hand. Brothers and guests, right hand to arms.
To arms.
Ready.
Aim.
Aim. Fire, good fire. Fire.
Vivat! Vivat! Vivat!
I love it. I haven't done a charge for a while. I forgot. Sorry.
we switched it up a tiny bit just
shame. We changed it a little bit. Just
copyright infringement stuff. We don't want to get sued.
I want to get dues cards pulled. The hell with copyright.
They've threatened that before.
So
anyway,
all right, Brother Scott, we're gonna let you go. Thank you again,
all right, brothers. Thank you again.
Janet, good to see you. Thank you very much.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. And we are gone. We have let Brother Scott go. We are still live. We are still recording. That was awesome.
That was a good episode. That was
fun.
I like the loose format with our guests. I like when it can just we do an introduction and we just let it go.
Do we want to get Powder on?
Yeah, let's get Powder on.
Let's get Powder at.
While you're doing that, can I give a quick plug?
No. Yes, you can.
Okay, so
you're asking me permission. I'm putting I'm doing a plug. Deal with it. That's how you should respond.
Plug. Do we want Mean Joe to come out again? Brother Danny Collins has been feeling the wrath of Mean Joe after I went on a 10-hour self-imposed exile that I came back from.
Had your 6, though.
I know you did. I got a little grumpy earlier this week, but we don't need to get into that. But no, so the shirts that you and I are wearing are actually from Brother Danny Collins that he purchased and sent to us here at FMP headquarters. Mm-hmm. And they are from the Till Valhalla Project, founded by Marine veteran Corey Schaefer. A little bit in them bio. The Till Valhalla Project's main mission is to gift memorial plaques to the families of fallen heroes at no monetary cost to them. Hand-delivered at a complete surprise, our plaques and products have helped remind thousands of families their hero will never be forgotten. In addition, they donate 20% back to #Mission22 so our brothers and sisters can get the help they deserve and don't have to fight their demons alone. You should take tremendous pride knowing that your purchase is funding the materials needed to keep these memorial plaques 100% free for the families of our fallen. We believe they have paid more than enough. Thank you again for giving back to our fallen heroes, because if we don't continue to do this for these families, then who will? And there's a quote here from Corey Schaefer. I believe a hero never truly dies until the last time their name is spoken. Continue to honor them and they will live on forever. Corey Schaefer. So thank you, Brother Danny Collins.
Absolutely.
And I will read the shirt. It's easier to read yours than mine upside down. Yeah. Stop flexing. In your darkest hour, in your darkest hour when the demons come, call on me, brother, and we will fight them together. It's a really cool shirt, really cool project here. Really cool of Brother Danny Collins to send these to us. I've been really nice to him lately, kind of, but then I got mean again because that's what he loves. He doesn't like nice Joe. He wants me making fun of the Queen and giving him a hard time.
One other thing I just want to say. I wasn't flexing. I was trying to hide the keg. That's what I was trying to do. So
you're sucking it in. You're tenting your shirt.
Pulling it out wide. But I love
this shirt.
And Brother Danny Collins actually has another interesting thing for Ken that's in a package that was over by Susan.
Oh, it's different than what you and I had? Oh, I wasn't aware that it was something different.
Oh, it's something different.
Oh.
So I tried calling the powder, but
the albino.
The albino, he didn't answer, so. Yeah,
so a midget, an albino, and a ginger, an albino, and a midget walk into a podcast.
And talk to Scott Wolter.
There's the joke.
That was really cool.
That was really cool. I enjoyed that.
He's an awesome brother.
And you know what? I'd love to get Janet on. I would absolutely, because she's done her own research. Uh-huh. She's got hers, and we don't often get, other than when we get called into HR for things we did poorly. We don't get a female perspective on things, and it'd be nice to get one and not get yelled at.
Well, I mean, not for nothing though. You know, Scott is Brother Scott is big into his profession. Put up on a TV show, and unfortunately, it's kind of sad that the wives or their partners kind of fall to the weight.
They don't get the
same
limelight. They don't get
recognition.
spotlighted enough.
When,
right.
Believe it or not, they're doing the majority of the heavy lifting in the background that you don't know.
Absolutely.
So, absolutely.
No, she's a researcher and an author in her own right with some really good stuff out there that I'd love to hear her perspective on. Absolutely would love that.
So, what do you say, Brother Joe?
Wrap it up?
Wrap it up.
All right. Wrap it up.
Awesome episode.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
Loving it. And he's agreed to be on at least 3 more times. Janet's at least 1, so that's 4 more episodes we got out of it.
So let's real quick before we close, we're just going to talk about what's upcoming. We are going to be talking about the
background check
debate, but this Sunday we're actually going to be doing a podcast montage.
Yes. That should be really cool. I believe it's Jake Dean.
Yes.
I believe it's one
Jake
of them.
Dean.
Avid listener of the show.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is a really 2 18-year-old men that are kind of starting their own podcast, History's Mysteries. And they had you on as a guest a couple of days ago, and you had some technical issues.
I had some technical issues. I was using my X-Splitter. Again, I was using it from a different platform. I was using it from their I was trying to promote it live on their Facebook page, and I don't know, the X-Splitter just wasn't picking up their audio. It was picking me up perfectly fine.
We heard you just fine.
Was having some issues. But you, me, and hopefully maybe we'll get the ginger.
The albino.
I keep saying the ginger.
I'm the ginger.
Gonna have the ginger. The albino. We're going to have Powder with us. We'll have him Skyping, as well as the brothers from the History's Mysteries, and we're going to do a
little collaboration. Yeah, little cross promoting.
I'm actually going to let them take. I'm going to let them take the lead. I talk too freaking much, so
let them do it. I think that's great.
We'll introduce us.
Yeah,
they'll introduce them, and then I'm going to say, run with it. Ask the questions you want. Ask you anything you want.
Absolutely, I'll answer anything. And I know Jake's an avid listener of the show, so he's heard all that. He's probably got. He was actually on tonight.
Yep.
Actually, he's right there.
Right there.
Yep. No, it should be a lot. It should be a lot of fun. Oh, by the way, if Ken were from St. Petersburg, you know what he'd be, right? Oh, we're Russian. Sorry, I had to work that in.
Very nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna have Jake Dean, and I'm sorry, his name escapes me. I believe it was Ian,
I forgot because I know Jake
wrong.
sent me a friend request earlier today. That's why I remember his name.
And we actually have. I'm getting messages. Actually, I'm looking at my phone. Avelino Ventura, sir, may I read? You don't need to sir me. I'm I'm not an officer. I never got butter bars, so. You just call me brother.
Oh, you've got bars of butter, though. Hey!
You're an ass. He says, oh, God. Now I just got
Ian Decker is the name of the other gentleman that works
Ian Decker.
with
Thank
Jake
you.
Dean.
I remember it was Ian. I thought it was Ian. Sir, may I request, this is Avelino Ventura. May I request you discuss the views of Freemason regarding reincarnation on the next episode. Well, I don't know if it'll be the next episode.
Yeah, we'll have to do some research on that, but yeah.
Reincarnation.
Well, it's okay. Reincarnation, rebirth, resurrection. It's kind of a similar topic. Yeah, we can certainly we can find enough to talk about. Absolutely. Raph, put it on the books, Raph.
There might be a lot of jokes involved in that because if I come back like me again, I'm going to go, son of a bitch. But
who knows? You might come back as like an NBA basketball player that's like 7'11".
I'm going to leave it alone.
Do I get to come back though? Because I have no soul. Apparently,
I can't. I gotta stop.
I gave you an easy one. But do I get?
I was going in a different direction.
I know where you were going. But do I get to come back? Because I have no soul. Apparently,
you get to come back.
Or am I just immortal because I have no soul?
But listen,
I'm like the queen. I'm the vampire.
Me personally, I think personally, the divine architect would look at you and be like, "Listen, you did an entire lifetime as a ginger. I'm going to give you a.
We're going to give you You're going to come back with. You're coming back as Mediterranean, olive complexion, dark hair.
Although
I'll come back as like Fabio.
I have to do this though.
Oh boy.
if Danny Collins made it to the pearly glades, God'd be like, yeah, fuck no. Anyway, what do you say? Wrap it up.
He's going to come back as I don't
An
know,
American.
as an American, yeah, from like Georgia or Mississippi or something. He's coming back as a redneck. That's what he's coming back as. From lobster back to redneck. Danny Collins. Love you, brother. Love you.
All right, let's shut it down. So, for the Freemasons podcast, I am one of your hosts, Right Worship Brother George Marjorie, signing off.
Worship Brother Joe signing off.
Have a good night, everyone.
Cheers, everybody.
Poor Danny.
Danny's a great guy. Danny's a great brother. He really. I know.
Listen.
So when I had my temper tantrum a few days ago,
This is only for live listeners. If you're still watching,
no, that's cool. I'm not going to say anything. But when I had my temper tantrum a few days ago, and I threatened to quit, and so that's it. I'm taking my Discord money and going home, or my Patreon money and going home.
he was taking his ball and going home.
Yeah, pretty much. Danny sent me a couple personal messages, giving me a little bit of a pep talk. So I appreciate that, Danny, because I had my moment. And, we've been in quarantine for months now.
Jake Dean, we'll see you Sunday. Absolutely.
See you, Jake.
They're in Chicago, so they're an hour behind us. So if we do it for 5, are you good for 4, Jake? Let us know through the messenger.
Yeah, let us know. Either we could do it at 4 here, 3 your time, 5 here, 4 your time. We'll work around you.
But me and you today, we had a little symbiosis there in Discord.
Oh, yeah. I have so many memes saved up for Brother Danny.
But I'm just saying, like, you fired, and then I came right in afterward, like, taking shots.
Oh, yeah.
at him.
He took a beating today. He really took a beating
today. But I also want to say, just for those, these are people watching live, if you join Discord, we actually we didn't even get a chance to do our Discord plug. We got to do another episode if you want.
What's access to that?
I don't know. How do you get access to that?
For as little as $3 a month, you can join Patreon, where you'll get exclusive access to the Discord page, which now includes FMP chat, the Steward's Cookbook, and a live video chat. And I'll get into the Steward's Cookbook in a moment.
We're here again.
But, not only will you get that, you'll get to hear some Patreon exclusive episodes, as well as when they come in, which I've now been told is the middle of May. You'll get a nice Freemasons podcast lapel pin. And again, that's all brought to you for as little as $3 a month.
Yep. We actually just had a new Discordian just join. Discordian. I want to say Patreon because I don't know if he joined Discord yet.
Probably not after the tongue lashing that last guy took.
That would be Joseph Grabowski. Oh, we just got another one right now.
I know the Grabowskis.
Lee Muskoff just also joined.
He just joined Patreon? God, I've seen him on the podcast forever. Welcome to Patreon and Discord, Lee Muskoff.
Lee, if you're watching right now, I'm going to send you the Discord link. I just need to make a few disclaimers. Number one, don't
insult me.
Be wearing your big girl panties because it's all in brotherly love and friendship.
We do. However, I don't worry, because we have the Discord police. That would be me.
Oh,
I posted a picture of myself as Judge Dredd earlier today. It's the one that says I am the law. It's in there. Because see, I put my face on him in there and everything. So we do have Discord police in case things cross the line and get a little out of control. But all is good. It's mostly in fun. But yeah, it's not for the faint of heart.
Jim Delvaney writes, "Fresh meat? ? Who?
Yes.
Jim Delvaney.
Who's that?
Jim D.
I'm only kidding.
Oh,
I'm just busting his balls.
Oh, all right. I didn't pick up on that, but yeah, okay. Lee Muskoff
over your head.
And Joseph Grabowski. If you both check, if you're watching, if maybe you're not, but seriously.
The fact that it took you that long to the register means it's a good one. That's one that you would have caught back on editing and been like, what the hell?
All right, let's shut it down. But anyway, for Joseph Grabowski, if you end up watching this live before I get a chance to post it, check your messages in Patreon, because the Discord link is in there. And I will say,
And you've been warned.
you've been warned.
I just want to throw out there that the opinions do not necessarily reflect those of the Freemasons podcast or its hosts.
Very nice.
Yeah,
Or even sometimes the people who actually write it.
right. Sometimes it's just for the show, just to get somebody fired up. I don't believe what I said about the Queen yesterday, but it got. I didn't realize Brother Danny had such a love for the Queen. Like, it's borderline like fetish stuff.
It's
Like,
bad that when
weird,
my
man.
phone started to rumble when I was reading that, it was pretty funny.
It was funny.
All right, shut it down.
All right. Good night, Facebook Live.
Good night, Facebook Live. Oh, shut this down.